Step 9, once you've got a funnel out there and so on, is to now implement the ExO attributes of scale and ideas. Do as much staff on demand, community and crowd, implement algorithms, leverage assets, figure out engagement models for your product, and then all the internal mechanisms. What interfaces where do you want to automate the interfaces between you and the customer? What dashboards are you running? How are you doing experimentation, and what experiments are you running? How do you decentralize decision-making, and what social technologies are you using inside the company?
Now, to be clear, it's not implementing all 10 it's necessary, right? And you might actually begin with a couple of these and then move towards others as part of your plan.
That used to be the case.
Okay.
So in the first book, our research indicated if you implemented 4 of these, then you became an ExO. But I think today the market basically says the data now shows that if you're not implementing all of these, somebody else is, right? And so the more you implement these, the better. And the faster you can implement dashboards, for example, the faster you've got a real-time sense of what's happening with the business. And the more you can implement experimentation, the more you're implementing a learning organization.
Right. And a few of these, there's no excuse not to be implementing them. They're just fundamental best practices as an entrepreneur today.
Yeah. Now, really critically, I'll give you a great example. There's a company out of Australia called Smart Group. And what they do is every quarter they get 10 people, each of them picks one of the scale or ideas attributes, and they implement that attribute. So they have 10 projects going on a nonstop basis, implementing scale and ideas. They grew 5x over a 2-year period by doing this. And they were already a public company, by the way, so this is not a small company. They were already a public company, and then they grew 5x by applying the full scale and ideas methodology.
Our 10th step is to implement and establish a culture. But I would say a culture begins from the very beginning. And it's what happens when the CEO is not watching. It's the interactions between your employee base, between your founders. And again, it starts with that MTP. It starts with the original founders. And that culture is going to drive everything. Elements of the culture I really personally always want to be driving. It's data-driven, experimentalism, fundamentals there.
Yeah. Now, we found over the years that having an ExO structure takes out a lot of politics, right? As we said in the implication, most traditional companies, almost all the conversation is about what's happening on the inside. That person's product didn't work. Did they get budget for that thing? Why is that guy trying to steal my team members? And within ExO, most of the conversation about what's on the outside, are we solving the fundamental problem or not, et cetera. So that's critical. We found that by implementing more and more of the attributes, the culture stays young, alive, a learning organization, oriented constantly towards the MTP.